Next to me is the BMW X7, the largest and most luxurious SUV the brand makes. It's packed with technology, it seats 7 people comfortably, and it's absolutely stunning inside. Is it worth the hype? Well, today we're gonna find out exactly that. The X7 comes in 3 different trim levels, starting with the xDrive 40i, which is the base car, and it starts at $74,900. Now, under the hood of that car is a 3-liter turbocharged 6-cylinder making 335 horsepower. Bump up the range one and we get this, the X7 M50i. Now, under the hood of the X7 M50i, we've got a 4.4-liter turbocharged V8 making 523 horsepower and 553 pound-feet of torque. That's mated to an 8-speed automatic transmission, and despite its massive size, for reference, this car is 9 inches longer than a BMW X5 and it weighs 5,700 pounds. It's still able to sprint from 0 to 60 miles an hour in 4.2 seconds, which to me is incredibly impressive for an SUV that's this large and this comfortable. The M50i starts at just under $100,000. Now, at the top of the line, we've got the $141,000 Alpina XB7. It's got a revised exterior that looks strikingly Alpina. It's absolutely gorgeous. New wheels, it's got interior details that are Alpina as well, and it's been tuned to 612 horsepower and 590 pound-feet of torque. Definitely want to get my hands on one of those soon for a review. Personally, I really love the way the X7 looks. Yes, the front grille is massive, but it fits with the design of the car very well. I love the fact that the lower portion of the front grille looks very similar to the X5M, and then on the top we've got this classy and elegant 7 Series look to the vehicle. Now, if you want to save some money by getting the xDrive 40i car, I suggest paying $4 grand for the M Sport package. That gives you this really aggressive looking front fascia. The standard car looks a little bit basic. The M50i comes stock with that front fascia. From this view, you should get a good idea of how large the X7 really is. Now, another thing it comes standard with, which is awesome on the M50i, is 22-inch wheels. That's right, 22s are standard. There's 2 different wheel style options to choose from, and then you can actually get an optional 21-inch wheel with all-season tires if you live in inclement weather. The back of the X7 looks great too. There really isn't a bad angle on this vehicle. We've got a split power tailgate. Just click the unlock button there. That will open up. Click this button and the lower portion of the tailgate will open. Now, to make things easier to load in and out, and also if you wanted to sit on it and it's a little bit too difficult for you to hop up on at this level, there's a button right here that'll actually lower the air suspension at the rear of the car, making it easier to carry stuff into the back of the vehicle. Obviously, the rear seats fold down for extra cargo space. Now, let's go ahead and close this up. You'll notice it looks like you've got a split dual exhaust, but if you look really carefully, it actually has 2 tips on each side for a quad exhaust. And something I was not expecting on the M50 X7 is how damn good this car sounds. Under acceleration when you're in the vehicle, it actually sounds phenomenal. Let's see what it sounds like when you're just revving. The interior of the X7 is extremely luxurious. The fit and finish of the materials are fantastic. Everything feels nice to the touch. But before we explore the front of the vehicle and take it for a drive, let's check out the second and the third rows. The second row in the X7 is an amazing place to be. It's packed full of creature comforts and you've got endless head and legroom. I mean, literally almost infinite. I love this sunroof above me. Now, this has the optional captain's chairs, which gives you these super comfortable armrests, which you can stow away if you want. I love how comfortable these pillows are. The seats in general are very, very comfortable, but you've got some cool features as well back here. Now, down here by your feet, you've got 2 different cup holders. It's also got a massive X7 logo next to it in case you forget what vehicle you're in. You've got 2 USB-C chargers down here. There's a USB-C charger here, one over here. There's ports for screens for rear seat entertainment if you want as well. Ambient lighting back here. You get heated seats in the second row and even heated seats in the third row as well as part of the cold weather package. And of course, you can control the climate control in the second row as well. Now, let's head back to the third row and see if there's actually any space back there. BMW has actually made getting into the third row of the X7 very, very easy. Now, because we have the captain's chairs, we have electronic controls on the side of the seat there. You can actually recline it, move it back and forth. But up here, if we grab this and pull the seat forward, watch what happens. All of a sudden, it's going to automatically slide forward, but not just forward. Once it gets to the end of its travel, it starts bending upwards and out of the way to give you the most possible room to get into the back seats. The third row is what really impresses me about the X7. I'm 5'11", sitting behind somebody who would have been comfortable being 5'11" in front of me, sitting behind someone in front of them that is 5'11", and I still have tons of legroom and a little bit of headroom back here in the third row. Nothing is touching whatsoever. Got this nice comfortable armrest on the side here with ambient lighting. And there's some options in the back of the third row that I've never seen before in a third row vehicle before ever. For instance, we've got a cup holder on each side. We've got ambient lighting back here. We also have our own climate control up here. And you've got heated seats in the third row. We also have our own little sunroof that you can close the sunshade with a button there, our own ambient lighting, and it's just really, really spacious back here. This specific car is finished in cognac Vernasca leather, which looks really nice juxtaposed against the black wood trim. That being said, I would pay $1,000 to upgrade for the merino leather, which has gorgeous quilted stitching in it and feels a lot more upscale in the interior. That being said, it is still absolutely stunning in here. For $1,300, this car has the executive package, which gives you diamond cut glass accents throughout the cabin, such as this beautiful shift knob right here with a kind of almost holographic looking X logo in it. And then to the right of it, we've got this kind of glass cut finish on the dial for the multimedia system, as well as the volume controls and the stop start button. But you also get with that package heated and cooled front cup holders. You want to make sure your drinks are at proper temperature. Overall, the interior feels very traditional, upscale BMW. We've got a touchscreen 12.3-inch display for the multimedia and a 12.3-inch fully digital display for the instrument cluster as well. And I love the Alcantara headliner. And how could I forget, part of that executive package on top of those cup holders is the Sky Lounge LED roof. Like Rolls-Royce having stars, BMW has this gorgeous sunroof that actually has little LEDs in it, so at nighttime they light up in whatever ambient light color you would like. It creates a really cool effect at nighttime. Now, before we take this X7 out on the road, I want to show you a pretty cool feature that I haven't seen in any other car. Now, in an S-Class or traditional luxury cars, in the front seat, you can control one of the rear seats or independently the left seat or the right seat and make them move forward or backwards to give more room for people getting into the vehicle. But in the X7, if you press the button on the left door, up on the screen pops a selection where you can actually cause the entire row of seats to move forward and back. Check that out. The first thing you notice immediately behind the wheel of the X7 is how comfortable this vehicle is. For people who have never been in a Rolls-Royce, this is exactly what I'd imagine you would think a Rolls-Royce would feel like. It's not quite at the level of a Cullinan, but that car's 4 times as expensive. This is as comfortable as it gets for the money. It's unbelievably quiet in here. We've got really thick glass, so you're isolated from the external environment, but it's such an easy and comfortable car to drive. I thought it would be kind of intimidating given its size, but it doesn't actually feel massive on the road. Yes, you feel like you're in a commanding driving position, but the turning radius is good. Its maneuverability is impressive. Now, this has the Dynamics handling package, a $3,500 option, which gives you a better suspension setup, apparently both for performance driving as well as luxurious relaxing driving. It also gives you variable steering, so depending upon what speed you're going, the steering changes. This car is just such a breeze. You could literally travel across the entire country packed full of 6 people. You probably have to figure out what to do with your luggage because there's not a bunch of space in the back, but every single person would be comfortable. Now, there are a couple of different driving modes in the X7 to choose from. There is Sport mode. Then you can go into Sport Plus mode if you so desire, and there's even a Sport Individual mode. We'll talk about Sport mode a little more in a bit. Then there is Comfort mode, which relaxes everything. The suspension is nice and soft, and I love the amount of pressure it requires you to press the gas and the brake. The tuning of the accelerator and the brake was done so well. So it has this initial tiny bit of airspace, so nothing happens, but it eases into the brakes and the gas so nicely, it just makes the whole driving experience more smooth. There's no way that you're gonna end up jerking this car around and jolting your passengers. It's literally impossible. This car feels like a cloud on the road. Then we have Eco Pro mode in case for some reason you're worried about your fuel economy in a massive V8 3-row SUV, but improves your fuel economy a little bit. And then there's an adaptive mode that chooses based on your driving dynamics and the environment what mode you should be in. We've also got height control. Because this car has air suspension, you can raise it up or lower it. Lowering it would be practical for helping people get into the car or get things in the back of the vehicle. In terms of raising it, you're not going to be off-roading an X7. I mean, if you are, power to you, but I don't really see the point of lifting it up. It does feel like you're driving sort of a monster truck when you do put it in its full raised mode. One thing I was not expecting with this car was how good it sounds. So we're going to put it into Sport Plus mode right now, flick it over into manual mode with the paddle shifters. But the V8 penetrates into the cabin really nicely. It doesn't feel fake or artificial. It doesn't feel excessive, but you can feel that V8 rumble both from the front and from the exhaust, and I really enjoy that. It makes the driving experience feel more sporty and more BMW M, even though, of course, we're in a massive car that doesn't handle exceptionally well. That being said, I did push it through some corners, and I have to say the braking ability of this vehicle is really, really impressive. You'd think, obviously, the heavier the vehicle, the harder it is to slow it down, but when you step on the brakes on the X7, it's actually jarring. I guess the X7 does not expect you to brake that hard because it thought we were crashing, and it sucked the seatbelt against me to make sure I was safe. Oh, hello, BMW, hello. But check this out, the body roll isn't too bad when you're in Sport Plus mode. It actually can handle decently well. Because it's all-wheel drive, you get a decent amount of understeer, but come on guys, we're not expecting the X7 to be a good performance car. But honestly, because it's so big and you don't expect it to brake as well as it does and you don't expect the limited body roll, it's kind of a ton of fun behind the wheel. It's actually hilarious out in the canyons, which is not what this vehicle is designed for whatsoever. We also have the driver assistance package, which gives you partial self-driving, particularly when you're on the freeway and you're below 40 miles an hour. It's really easy to activate, which I like. You just click one button on the steering wheel, and then all of a sudden, the car will guide itself within the lanes. It'll slow the vehicle down with traffic ahead of it, down to a complete stop, and then resume again. And then it speeds above 40 miles an hour. It does help for a little bit to maintain you in the lanes, but there's a camera system actually in the dash that's tracking your eyes to make sure you're paying attention, and it will tell you to put your hands on the wheel, and if it sees you kind of zoning off, it'll cancel that self-driving. But it does work really, really well, and it's reliable. Some vehicles, it's like sometimes you click it and the self-driving works, and other times it doesn't. I haven't really come into too many scenarios where the X7 has failed me in that regard. It has parking assist. It can help you self-park or back out of a parking spot based on how you were going forward. It memorizes that and does the exact same thing, but in reverse for you. The 360 surround view camera system is fantastic in this car as well. Now, we've got the upgraded Bowers & Wilkins sound system, which is $3,400, and it sounds absolutely insane. Bowers & Wilkins crushes it with their sound system. I love the ambient lighting in this car. It makes driving it at nighttime feel a little bit more upscale. There's lots of options to choose from. Overall, I am really impressed with the X7. It's comfortable to drive. It feels amazingly luxurious in here. It's dead silent in terms of exterior road noise, but when you floor it, it actually sounds really, really good, which I never would have imagined. It also, like I said, feels smaller when you're inside of it than you'd expect. So if you're nervous about driving something this big, don't be nervous whatsoever. You'll be totally fine. It's really not that big of a deal. Of course, we've got paddles mounted to the steering wheel that work decently well. I don't imagine you're going to be using the paddles a ton in an X7, but hey, it's kind of nice to be able to flick it over into manual mode and use the paddles. I do really like BMW's steering wheel. They always do such a good job. It feels great in your hands. Right now, my phone's almost out of battery. We got wireless charging here, and like I've explained, so many charging ports. It is truly impressive. Well, guys, I hope you enjoyed today's video. Like always, please browse the channel and subscribe. I'm going to leave you with a fast-paced point of view drive, just a brief one of the X7, just for fun. All right, guys, I look forward to seeing you next video.